All right, welcome everybody to the May 11th Idea Share. Does anybody want to take a guess on how many of these we've done? It's 8. You're guessing 8. Okay, we'll say that's correct because I have no idea, but that sounds pretty good. So I'm Beth Golick with Key Ministry, and Catherine Boyle is here as well. She's giving you a little wave there. So thanks for joining us. Each week we just continue to share and ask questions and come up with new ideas since we're all in this extremely unusual time together. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. What's new? What are you dealing with? What have you come up with? How did your Mother's Day weekend go? What's going on? You all are going to be quiet again and make me start this, aren't you?
Well, it was Mother's Day, obviously, on Saturday. And at our church in New Jersey, 125 families got a sign that was like, we put up in front of our house. It says, Home of Amazing Mom, Happy Mother's Day, Liquid Church. So there are 125 of these. They were the buddies that went around 125 houses delivering a card, Happy Mother's Day. We got a gift card. Other people got particular gifts. And we got a bag of 20 masks as well.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It was a very nice surprise. And I've seen on Facebook, a lot of our families have been very happy and surprised with getting this. It was Saturday pretty much when all the deliveries happened.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Al. Masks, I hadn't thought of that one. That's a really good idea. Are they the disposable kind, or which kind are they? What kind of masks did they?
It looks like they're pre-cut out. There's no sewing on them.
Okay.
And we got like 5 different colors. This is the hot pink one.
Okay.
So I think you go like this, and there's a straps down here as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if they bought them that way. They probably did, I think. I don't know how you cut those out otherwise.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, there's 20 of them in the package we got.
Nice. That's great. Did anybody else do anything special? Did your church do anything special for families for Mother's Day?
This is Patrick from Rochester. I was going to offer that one of the group homes in the agency where I serve, they took a drive around to visit all of their families to wave and to drop off and share big Mother's Day cards and banners. So to connect with their families from a distance.
That's great. Yeah, I love when churches are doing things like the lawn signs like Al showed us, or the banners. Anything like that is it's just a fun way to recognize people and let them know that you're thinking about them. Somebody else? Yes, go ahead.
We just sent out a note, and then this coming weekend we're scheduling family portraits. And so just heading around with a really long lens, and the photographer will do portraits of families in their front yards with no contact.
That's a great idea. So how are they signing up? Like how does this whole thing go?
Yeah, so we have a Google form that they're picking like between like a 4 or 5 day stretch, and then they can pick like morning, afternoon, early evening, and then it'll kind of get sorted by where they are within those time slots. So
cool. Yeah. And then did you have a photographer donating his or her time, or how does it, you were the photographer?
But it's what I did like in a previous life, so
I love how we're very multi-talented in this group. This is great. And then how do they, like, how are you sharing the photos then?
Yeah, so we will we'll give them like their digital files, and we've done this before, and obviously not with porches, we've done it in the past with the families, and we would make them a couple of prints and then give them all of the digital files.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. And this is next weekend that you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you extend the invitation, and what kind of response are you getting?
I mean, fun response. I sent out, so I am very homemade kind of person. So I drew this cute little graphic.
That's awesome.
And then that was emailed out to all the families.
Okay.
So
Fun.
yeah.
And are they responding? Are people signing up?
Mhm.
Great. Okay. Wonderful. Anybody else? So our church delivered on Friday flowered plants and a little note to the moms, like a little Mother's Day thing. And actually, if you go to keyministry.org and read Steve Gersovich's, Dr. G's last blog post, somebody actually posted on Facebook about what she had received, and he incorporated that into his blog post. So that's pretty cool. All right, I have something I want us to brainstorm if nobody else has anything.
I just had a quick question, Beth.
Yes, hi Amanda.
Hi. I was just wondering how other churches are doing this in terms of, right now, my church is on like a complete spending freeze. So we didn't really do anything for Mother's Day. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what a great idea that would be to do the pictures. I love that. But I was just curious if any other churches are on like spending freezes, and how are you combating that? My church is doing a really large scale benevolence ministry, and we are like paying, a bunch of utility bills and rent bills for our large church family. And so, but everything else is like halted.
Yeah.
So I was just curious how that's working, because I have literally $0. So it's like, I'm, some of mine, but like, I'm just doing like thank you cards, little notes, little things here and there. But I mean, it's coming just from what I can do. So just curious.
That's a really, really good point. And I think we're going to see sort of the gamut where churches are saying, no spending whatsoever, because we need to focus all our efforts on supporting the congregation through like a benevolence fund type of thing. I think you're also going to see some churches saying, all right, this is our new normal. We are, what do you need to make your ministry continue to run? So I think you're going to get a little bit of everything. Yes, go ahead. Let's see. Lita. Light. Yes.
Yeah, Amanda, I work supporting adults with developmental disabilities. Many live in the community with their families, but hundreds live in group homes and are receiving amazing supports there, but they are not getting contact from their churches. And that's a project that we are working on. So those notes and phone calls and Facebook check-ins, whatever, that don't cost anything except a stamp maybe, those are huge. And like I said, it's just the cost of a stamp or your time, and they make a big difference. So I'd encourage you to please do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm doing that. So that's good.
Yay.
Yeah. Autumn posted in the chat that they're on a spending freeze as well, because right now their church is very focused on running the drive-through food pantry. And that might be the case in a lot of churches. I mean, we need to meet the basic needs of our community. So that might be the case too. Bronwyn, are you raising your hand, or are you?
Yeah, so raising my hand and twirling my hand. Yeah, our church, I would say we're on a maybe spending shift in terms of what we're spending our money on. Oh, right a second. Sorry, someone had a question right at that moment. So what I've done is I've been working pretty closely with the care pastor to hook up families with the benevolence funds. I think part of some of this structure was trying to get, inclusion. It's not just children and youth, right? We're trying to say inclusion is like family ministry. So when I've been connecting with the care pastor, they're like, oh, this is like family. So I've been able to access much more than I would have normally been able to. And I don't really know like how that money is distributed. I just know that I come with a need, say, hey, these families have this particular need. And they say, okay, we'll give me their contact. We will hook up with the funds they need. And so that's how that's been working on that level. Also, we've been finding money like in other budgets to see, okay, what money has gone like, that has been allotted for something that we're now not doing because of this. How can we like reappropriate it? So it's like, it's kind of like a free, like we're not spending any extra. We're saying, okay, like here's money that we already have earmarked for something else that we were going to spend on. And here's this clear need. So I think kind of spanning out from just my orbit has been really helpful, and people have really been receptive to that. I know every church kind of has its own structure in doing that, but yeah, I mean, we are putting the clamps down on a lot of other things, but we know how to have events and you're kind of a larger church, like you save a lot of money by not renting those bounce houses and buying those hot dogs and all that. So we do have, we're kind of reappropriating what we do and looking for other budgets than just mine, so, which is not very big.
Thanks, Bronwyn.
So in addition to the porch trits, what are some other pretty much free activities, free services that you have come up with that might help Amanda or any of us reach out to families and show that we're thinking about them and that we care for them?
Hey, it's Tony DeRazio. I joined the call late. I couldn't. Hi.
Hi.
So I missed the first 13 minutes. So, but to answer that question, and again, I didn't hear the whole context. What could you offer people that's free that they could do? Basically.
So as our church, and I know you're not with a church necessarily, but for many of the churches, we're being told there's a freeze on what you can spend. So yes, we're brainstorming ideas for how we can still reach families without spending money.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot of organizations are making their curriculum free to download right now. So I'm looking at you, Ryan Wolf. So that's one thing that we can definitely, even if you can't spend money on curriculum right now, those are some possibilities. Tammy is saying in the chat that we've asked all of our families in the special needs ministry to have their child record a video message for their volunteer that supports them on Sundays. That is really cool. And that we did talk last week about the importance of engaging, I think it was last week, losing track, the importance of engaging our volunteers in our ministries because, for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which is at some point we want to have everybody back in person, and we want to continue to engage not just the families, but the volunteers as well. Yeah, I agree with Amanda. That is a great idea, Tammy. Yes, Al.
A couple weeks ago, my son's buddy, who's a good friend of my wife, she came by and they did a walk together. They kept their distance, but it didn't cost anything except time to come over and spend some time together.
Yeah, that's great. Any of those things. I know a lot of you make phone calls, so that's obviously doesn't cost any money. Yeah, good point.
We worked in conjunction with the Upside Downs. I may have mentioned this already, but where we had the kids post workouts. And post workouts on on our sites and on the Facebook, and they seemed to enjoy that. And some of them were 15 seconds long of what they were doing, and some of them were a little bit longer, and they seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Tony is with Jacob's Ladder Fitness, and so it's a fitness program for kids with special needs, and so that's a great way to engage the community, and doesn't cost any money to post online. So
right. And we are a ministry, and we pray after workouts, and we're a faith-based group. And I've been told by some people, say, "Why don't you leave that faith thing out of there?" And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so, I mean, our program is free. So we have Zoom classes. Actually, we are starting Zoom classes tonight with the Special Olympics of Ohio. And then we do Zoom classes with the Upside of Down. So we actually do 4 Zoom classes a week.
That's great.
And I don't know, is Cody's mom there, Claire? No, I guess not. Cody's been joining us, and I think he enjoys it. Seems like he does.
Great.
So, So anybody wants information, you can give them my email. You can do that, whatever.
Yeah, so I would suggest, if you're interested in that, to visit Tony's website. So it's Jacob's Ladder Fitness. So
JacobsLadderFitness.com.
Yep. So I was thinking back to Amanda's question, and the letter writing and all that. That can add up if you have a lot of families that you're trying to reach. I mean, I think postage is 50 cents a letter now. So it isn't like a negligible amount. Like if you're reaching, 100 families, I mean, suddenly you're spending, quite a bit of money. So I just wanted to recognize that, that is an expense that you can incur if you are, even though the handwritten notes, I think, are really appreciated. What else is going on out there?
Matthew mentioned the free curriculum, and obviously that's available at abilityministry.com. Our Be the Church series has been out a couple weeks. I'm kind of like you. I can't remember how many weeks that's been out, but we've seen, I think, about 50 churches download that, and so I'm super excited about that. This week, at some point later this week, I don't have the exact date yet, we're going to release kind of the follow-up series to that. It's called Be Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So we recognize the need to stay healthy emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. So each week we'll focus on one of those components of our personal health. I know, I'm sure everybody here probably follows Dr. Steve and the stuff that he posts about mental health and just how, that's kind of the tidal wave that's hitting us now, as we've looked at some of the viruses and now the mental health, we can't afford to ignore, and I know this is not news to anyone, we can't afford to ignore our personal health nor the health of those in our ministries. So we wanted to try to create a video-driven series based on staying healthy and being healthy. Each one of those lessons has basically 3 tips on how to be healthy, spiritually, mentally, and healthily. And what did I say? Physically. Okay. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. We'll be posting throughout the week different things, but we're excited to see people use that and be able to provide it for free. So that's something else we're excited about and getting ready to kick out to everybody.
Very cool. So that's abilityministry.com. I was going to, looks like Catherine dropped off the call, so we'll come back to her. I want to note that in the chat, Bronwyn says that they've had their youth buddies deliver the notes, which kind of serves a dual purpose there. So it saves on stamps, but it's also a good way to engage volunteers. It looks like Catherine is back on. She has really great internet sometimes. But Catherine, Ryan just brought up the importance of mental health, and he mentioned the new series that we'll be doing it's all about being healthy. But I thought this would be a good time to throw it over to you for a minute if you want to talk a little bit about some mental health things that are going on.
Yes, definitely. So we have another webinar this Wednesday. I think I shared it, excuse me, already today on one or both of our Facebook pages, but let me just pull up the description so that I can read it right. But it's all about, for this week, it's all about, helping parents continue to take care of both the, the stress and the anxiety that the kids are feeling, as well as their own. So here's the description. We're calling it the in-home lockdown therapist, meaning mom or dad, equipping parents to meet their kids' emotional needs. And so the description is stay-at-home orders are being eased, but increased freedoms may bring new fears and stress. Natalie Ford, she's a PhD licensed professional counselor, and she's a professor at Truett-McConnell University in Georgia. She's going to join us and talk about strategies and tools for helping parents help their kids cope with all the changes, because lots of areas are starting to transition to a more open environment. But of course, we may get there and then have to go back to more restrictions. But we also want parents to take care of their own mental health. So if you haven't already looked, you can find that on our events page on keyministry.org, or you can look on our Facebook pages today. Excuse me.
All right, thank you for that. We do have, since we're doing a little plug for programs right now, I do want to let you know that on Wednesday, May 20th, so when the third Wednesday of each month is our traditional Disability Ministry Video Roundtable meeting. So it's a forum like this where we can all see each other and talk with each other. And our topic is going to be virtual respite. And the idea is, how can we provide respite to families during this time where we can't actually be together? And so it's going to be an opportunity for us to share ideas, many of which have been shared in this forum, our Monday Idea Share. But I would love for all of you to join us that day. I'm looking at you, Allison, because you have some really good ideas. And this is something that we can then share with a wider audience, because we do get a different group that will come and be part of that Wednesday Disability Ministry Video Roundtable. So that's the 20th, same time as this, noon Eastern, crack of dawn for Bronwyn. Yeah, and so hopefully you all will be able to join us for that. So, all right, what other things are you working on, ideas?
So I know there's been a lot said about the re-entry. I mean, in California, we're pretty far behind on that. But I was thinking how there's, possibility that some of our church will be able to meet and integrate. But like with buddies, I mean, we can't social distance buddies. I know we've kind of talked about this before, but I'm really wondering, how to communicate with my families on that, and what to, and yeah, just like, is it equitable to have certain people home and certain people at church? Like, how do we do that? So I think that is, as our church looks to, the possibility of reopening, which is not going to be, I think, till September. But I think in the summer, we're going to be figuring out what that looks like. So I don't know if anyone is further along in that process or what they've decided.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the question. And this is exactly what Dr. G wrote about in his blog post. I know, Ryan, you shared so beautifully on one of, I don't know which forum it was, but it was on something like this about when we are back in person, like there's just no way to social distance.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because there's no such thing as social distancing in disability ministry. When it comes to hugs, when it comes to personal care, if your ministry does provide that. I know a lot of ministries don't go as far as personal care, but there are some that do. You can't do that from 6 feet. So yeah, I would encourage just everybody take a read of Dr. Steve's post today, because one of the timelines he put in there, because I read it this morning, I'm like, no,
I know, same.
Because he said, and I'll let you read it. But he said, what if the timeline really is 12 to 24 months for our population that we work with? And I'm thinking a year, 2 years. I'm like, I can't do this. No. But we need to begin to think, what does ministry look like if it is 12 to 24 months for the reintegration of our population?
And even if it's not that long, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to be longer than whatever your, big church is doing, there just will be some people that will not be re-entering right away. Yes.
Yeah. So what he was the analogy he was using is what we like to use in classrooms when we use the term least restrictive environment. So as we think of re-entry, least restrictive environment might be to continue to do some of this online stuff. The hard thing for me as I try to process this mentally is how does this look like least restrictive environment and best intent and not look like discrimination?
Yeah.
So I think that's it. The messaging on our part and our church's parts has got to be spot on. Because this is obviously not meant to isolate, discriminate, demean in any means. It's meant for the good of the body. So I just encourage everybody to read that post and try to wrap your mind around that timeline and think about messaging, because it's super important.
Yeah, Lita, I'm going to get to you 1 second. I just want to point out, so in the chat, Catherine has shared the link to the article that Ryan was just talking about. You can get it from keyministry.org, and it's actually posted on our coronavirus page there, but it's in our Church for Every Child blog. The author is Dr. Steve Gersovich, and he is the president and founder of Key Ministry, who is the host of this call. So that is, definitely check that out. Lita, is it Lida or Lita?
Lida.
Lida, sorry, Lida.
I'm called Lita, Lisa, Linda.
Whatever.
Whatever. I figure out it's me. Besides what I do with leading a ministry supporting adults with disabilities, I'm also an associate pastor of a very small rural congregation that's, as we're talking about, we're in New York State, so we're nowhere near reopening, though, at least for churches. They're looking at ways to open up the state in sectors and have some timelines worked out, but resuming in-person worship services is not soon. And it's not just people with developmental disabilities, but it's also people above whatever age it is. I've heard 60 thrown out. I've heard 62, 65, 70, whatever age it is. It's the elders. It's also people with autoimmune disorders. It's people who are cancer survivors, people with other comorbidities that gathering is dangerous to them at this time. So it could be months. So we're looking at our congregation, and of the 40 people who were there on a Sunday morning, it would be whittled down to maybe 10 who don't fit into any of those categories. So I believe that churches are going to have to adopt, even the small little rural churches for whom having the technology is a big stretch. They're going to have to adopt a hybrid, and they're going to have to figure out a sustainable model that doesn't burn the young and well people out on how to reach to administer to those who physically are not able to be part, but are vital and need to be included. Their gifts and talents have to find ways for them to be shared. So that's something we're looking at, and it's definitely, it's a much broader audience of people who can't physically gather into a building for a very long time.
Right. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so we're in the, so Joe from Greenville, South Carolina, but so we're opening up. Our first services start back on the 24th, but it's at 20% occupancy. Man, I can't say that word. And so everybody's spaced out to the room. We're doing temperature checks. Everyone, if you're inside, you have to wear a mask. There's one entrance, one exit. Trying to keep it as safe, but then there's a lot of the isolation of a lot of the individuals, like we're all talking about, that can't come. And so we're looking at ideas about how to impact them. Like, how do you make someone not feel isolated, because they're already isolated, and now this whole thing is going to make it more isolated. And so we're just as a a staff trying to look about, hey, how can we continue? Because we're doing everything that we were doing over the stay-at-home stuff, but we're seeing really low numbers here, and as the numbers go up, we will go back to not having services live. But we're just kind of playing by the data, which is a little bit, that can be scary sometimes with a lot of the unknowns. But we're just looking for like how to not isolate. How to not isolate the people. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns. And then it goes along with mental health. So we're just like, do we offer, I don't know. Like, do we offer like one room, like where each kid has their own separate room and no one else can go in there, that they are sterilized, everyone's clean. Like we have we have all those protocols, but what does it look like continue to love? Like we make people change clothes before they go in. And so we're taking it to like the degree of almost the medical field, but at the same time trying to not isolate. So we're in the middle of that struggle. We don't even know what that looks like.
Wow, but you're ahead of a lot of us, though, for sure. I mean, you're already making plans. I don't know about you. I mean, we're not. I'm in Ohio. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
I know there's several of us from Ohio on this particular Zoom. And I know today at 2:00, the governor will be announcing plans for reopening daycare. And not that is, translates necessarily to what churches are doing, but I know our church, we have a preschool in our church, and we'll be looking closely at that to make decisions down the road. Is anybody else, to the extent that Joe is, where you're looking at? Oh, okay, great. Can you share a little bit, Tammy?
Yes. So I'm from Wisconsin, and we have a church of about 4,500. So we're really trying to figure out what the phasing is going to look like. In Wisconsin, we have the Badger Bounce Back Plan. And so the state is going to open up in 3 phases, starting with meetings of 10, and then it'll go to 50, and then full open. So what we're looking at for summer is a combination of digital and in-person meeting with limited numbers in those meetings. We're also going to take advantage of being outside, and it's just so much easier to social distance outside. We run a theme during the summer with our children's ministry, and the theme this summer is Let's Ride, so it's a bike theme. Mm-hmm. So we're going to put up a bike path around the church that's going to be like 1 mile, 2 miles. And then when we're able to have more gathering, we'll have stations where the kids can stop and have some kind of an activity, but then there would be social distancing so that they would line up to a cone and then be able to go up to the station. We don't anticipate that there will be that many kids that it would be too hard to monitor, but with that we'll have a different activity or challenge. We're also looking at something that we have as a store inside called the Discover Market. And so we're looking at doing something outside where they drive up, and our kids earn tracker tickets, incentives for bringing their Bible friends, etc. And so tying in that with the theme, and for kids with special needs, we will model what our children's ministry is doing. So we will have opportunities for our kids and their families to go on the bike path and participate in a modified version of the challenges that we have. And then in addition, we're still going to continue online, and we're going to have small groups where our kids will, our curriculum is online after our Sunday service and throughout the week. And so they'll review the curriculum with their teacher. It's more to really continue to have our volunteers engaged, mm-hmm. and for kids to be able to have relationships. They were in the same class all year. They had an abrupt end to the year. And so being able to get together, continue those relationships, and then our special needs will break out into our inclusive kids, and then we have 2 special needs classes. So that's kind of what we're looking at for summer so far.
And just so you know, we're not doing any kids, no students. This is only main services.
Okay.
And so, yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that part. When she started talking about it, I was like, oh, no, sorry. We're not even jumping into kids. We're not even looking to do children's ministry or anything like that for like 6 months.
Okay.
But we're trying to provide an opportunity. So a lot of those families are not going to come to church because they can't be in church with their children. So we're looking at, but we have a whole vacant building that's going to be open that no one's been in. It's been sterilized. It's been cleaned. So can we create a very sterile environment where all of our precautions are there? Because they would be the only ones in this 3-story building, which is it's hard on my heart. It's finding out where that line is. Most of our families are not going to come, and we understand that, but we want to provide opportunities for families to be able to come if they feel like they want to.
So I feel like this is a topic that, you know, we could discuss every single week, and there's going to be new information or new discovery. I don't know, every single week. So we're scheduled to do these through this month, although not including Memorial Day, but we could, we could vote on the, I guess, what is that? The 18th, if we want to keep doing these through June. Who knows? We just don't know what the timeline is at this point. So, all right. These are great, just such good things that we all need to be thinking about. I know today I took some of the ideas that you all have shared, little pieces, and pitched to the children's ministry team that we do some kind of modified vacation Bible school, like a backyard VBS type of thing this summer. Our church normally does not do vacation Bible school, but I just think by the summer, I think right now parents of school-aged kids are completely, they're done. Like they're overwhelmed with what they have to do for school. So like now's not the time to bring it up to parents, but I think by this summer, especially if we're still not in lockdown, but if a lot of our summer activities aren't happening. Yeah, Bronwyn says we're done. That is true. Yeah. I think families might be looking for some new things to do this summer. So I took pieces of everything that you all have said over these last few weeks, and we're kind of coming up with a plan. So thank you for that. That's something we'll probably try to do in July. Yeah.
I have a question. I'm gonna try to do e-groups this week, at least for the parents. Has anyone tried that? And do you have any suggestions on how to go about that other than just contacting the families and working it out as you go?
So are you talking like Zoom gatherings for parents? Yeah, I know a couple of you have done some things. Can anybody share with Autumn?
Autumn, is it all your families, like all of children's ministry, or is it just families of kids with special needs, or who's in that group?
Well, we're all, my whole Vineyard Kids team are working to do just some small groups, and whichever way we're choosing to do that, not necessarily including everybody because we're not quite there yet, but just ask around. I'm thinking I'm going to try to just do my Bridge Builders families, like my, that's what we call our ministry, Bridge Builders. That's what I'm going to focus on doing. We're going to be having a series coming up that they are inviting new families to get involved with that have to do with the message series. And so there'll be content that will be online. And so I just thought we would join them after I see what my families have to say, if they're interested. So
yeah, we've had an established group that we had to move to Zoom in March or whenever that was. And I've been pretty pleased with, attendance and engagement. I wasn't sure how it would go because, we had been used to meeting in person. But we've maintained a pretty good number of people, each time we've met. And I think, especially for parents, I think a lot of people, at least that we have, they want to do it because it's something like they don't have to manage like someone's school or something. It's like something for them. And there's not a whole lot, at least, where we are, for just parents. And so we found that that's been successful. The people who want to opt in will opt in, and the people who can't. And we've also had people who wouldn't normally be able to come that have been able to attend because they can attend from their home. So if, child wakes up, has a night terror or whatever, like they can go attend to that and they don't have to be gone. So we have had some of that. So it's been kind of nice.
Yeah, it's one of those, the blessings of the pandemic, right? More people are able to participate in some of these online things that we wouldn't have done otherwise. So kind of along those lines, maybe you guys can help me brainstorm this. So I'm thinking about reaching out to my family, so families whose children are like part of our special needs ministry, whether they're in inclusive classrooms or our special needs classrooms. But I kind of want to know, like, what are parents wanting as far as kind of online communities or, events that aren't really in person at the moment. Has anybody done any kind of survey like that for the families that they serve? What do you think? Is it a good idea? And I thought, yeah.
I was going to say, Beth, so it's Alison from Pennsylvania. I'm in the same predicament. I've run an online respite night for the families. We had about 14 families engage, and it was very successful as regards to, it was an hour Zoom call of multiple activities for everybody to get involved with. And they all said it was a really fun, it was a break, it was something different. And I'm in the dilemma of, do I do something like a repetition of that so other families can be involved? Because for some it was 4:30 on a Saturday and it didn't work. Yeah. Just going to say yes to whatever he says right now. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. And then, but I'm in the dilemma of, do I offer something like you're saying, sort of evening wise, just parents, because I know people have done like quiz nights, and I know some of our Bible study groups have done sort of like, Bible Jeopardy or Pictionary nights, and that's been successful. And I'm torn between whether to just offer something or whether to go down the route of trying to find out what people would like, or whether that's just one thing too many to even contemplate trying to do a survey. Right. Versus, am I actually doing something that nobody's really interested in right now? So I do run, just to add on a little bit, I do run a monthly mum support group, and the bonus of being on Zoom is that we've gone weekly, and that has had a pretty high attendance of up to about 20 each week, and we've been able to again incorporate people that used to go to work but are working at home and currently available, or just checking us out because they haven't been able to get there. And that worked well, and we actually ended up having a parent mentor from the county education department come and talk on Zoom and answer some questions about current education opportunities and lack of facilities and resources, etc. So that was useful. So that's been a positive, but that's only reaching a certain group of mums on a Friday morning, but it's definitely been helpful. But I'm in your dilemma as well. Okay. Survey, not to survey, provide, not provide. Right. Not really sure.
Right, and if we extend this out, for those of you who work more with adults that may be coming from group homes and that type of thing, that's possibly even harder to reach through a survey. So, yeah. Okay, Amanda gives a survey a thumbs up. Thanks, Amanda. I'll let you know. Yeah, Heather.
Hey there, I'm Heather from Savannah, Georgia, and I don't know if this is specific to anybody else, but we have provided Zoom game days for our kids at 11 and at 6 on Tuesdays, and that's been really helpful. Some of you, I recognize your faces from from other calls that we're on. So if this is repetitive, I apologize. But some I haven't recognized from there, so I thought I would bring it up. We do that, and it's a way to not only connect the kids, but the families. We do it through the free bingo online, and it's helpful in that, you know, a lot of our kids, and I say kids, that's anywhere from preschool to 39 years old, so it's a big wide range, but some of our kids who are affected a little bit more than others, their families have actually been able to participate, and I have wanted to do something just for the parents. I'm interested to find out how you guys do like a respite type of thing, because so many of my parents are saying, I just need 5 minutes to myself. So I almost feel like if I am doing something for just the parents, that I'm encroaching on that time where they could do that. So I'm finding that that's a hard balance. I don't know what to do for them as opposed to what to do for the child, because some of them have to have help from the parents in order to participate. So I just don't, I'm kind of like in a catch-22.
Any thoughts on that? And this is definitely something that we'll talk more about on the May 20th, the whole virtual respite idea for sure. But any quick thoughts from anybody that has experience here?
Specifically, I know somebody said that they get together with the moms for the parent support group and that kind of thing. Do you guys do a book study? Is it just something that you guys ideas share? How does that work?
I'd say for ours, we do not do a book study or anything like that. In fact, a lot of people in the group do not go to our church or like go to any church at all. So a lot of it is just, you know, what's going on this month? Like, how are you doing? Sometimes we have a topic that we talk about. We've had someone come in talking about self-care. We've had someone talking about, we've had a couple other different topics around that. We talked about like holidays, like how to not stress out about all the holidays, kind of whatever is the thing now. So the last, 3 months have been, how are you surviving the pandemic with your family? And that answer, has evolved and changed as we've gone on. And people like that, I think people, at least our group was always built upon that kind of like, this is like an open kind of fluid thing. And so people do like the chance for that. So that's what we're doing. But I mean, so, like, I'm sure there's like a million groups that are way more structured than the one that we have going, but that's what we do.
Well, I think it's good to, having a signed book, structured kind of thing works really well for some groups, and then the open discussion works really well for other groups. So Autumn said that their family ministry team did informal phone calls to ask what ways they could help, the parents. And the parents seemed like they simply would like ways to connect and appreciated us calling to pray with them. So that's a shout out for personal phone calls. So, all right, great.
We've had some good turnouts for our families doing those game nights too. So we did another one this past Thursday. We did wits and wagers, and then we got some of the pastors from the church to come in and guess. And then they got to kind of watch, and then they also got to pick who they thought was the winner. So it was a little bit more interactive and felt more connected to the church body, getting some people from the church to be involved in that. So I think that was key for us. And we also did it for our adults as well. So I think we had a good time, and it was a good time for the volunteers and the adults to kind of connect as well.
That's a great idea. Great. All right. Well, any last minute things before we close it up? Any other announcements of upcoming opportunities, training opportunities? I think, Catherine, did we cover all the key ministry ones? I think we did. Yeah.
Definitely.
Basically, every Wednesday there's something at noon.
Right.
Some have yet to be identified, but it's happening. Yeah. Okay, well, we will have the recording of this on keyministry.org on our coronavirus page. And we will meet again here next week. So, all right. Well, take care, everybody. Thank you again for participating, and we'll see you soon.